Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. How well do you think your brain waves can make a picture? We're going to find out. This is our weekly show where we talk about 3 or 4 interesting tech topics in the news, find you something fun about the library, and get you on your way in about 20 minutes or so. Today, I have Patrick Fleurimond from Main Library in the Teen Studio.
Sir.
It is called the Teen Tech Studio, but nobody in the world calls it that. We all just call it the studio.
Right.
How was life there today, sir?
Not bad. I got a few teens inside the teen studio and a few right outside our studio. So it's been picking up a little bit more traffic has been coming in lately. So that's a
Excellent.
good thing. Yeah.
And so that's when somebody out there, when you're listening and you hear some talking on the background, yeah,
That's me.
Patrick's in the studio
Right,
dealing
right,
with the
right,
teens
right.
right now while we're doing this. So let's jump into our stories as he's doing this here. Next time we got to put you up on a big screen down there on the
Big
outside,
screen.
Patrick. That'll be a fun thing for you.
Sure
But
will be.
our first story here is about radioactive dogs. So this one made the news several times over the past weekend. And two different people emailed it to me. So I'm like, okay, people are interested. I will make sure we get this on the show this week. So what happened is during the Chernobyl disaster, when their nuclear reactor did a full meltdown, spewed radiation all over, people evacuated really, really fast. Left dogs behind, left all their possessions behind in a lot of cases. And so some of the dogs died right away, just like all the living creatures did, but some lived somehow, whether they were in some kind of better shelter or not, and they were farther away from the reactor. But now they have over 300 dogs living in the wild. These are formerly domesticated dogs that have now lived in the wild and started having puppies after being radioactive.
Right. That's crazy.
So they're not glowing. This is not the comic books. They're not glowing. But can you imagine that, Patrick? Can you imagine
That's
what it's like to go in there and find?
I couldn't. I was actually talking to the captain for our security team, like right when I was looking at these. He was just talking about some of that stuff, but it's like that's crazy to see that these dogs are still out and about, and then the different genetic mutations that they may be undergoing. And like when I was reading it, it was saying how it may affect like the eyes, like that's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that can be affected. But it's just kind of crazy to think it's going deeper into the genetic gene pool where
Yeah.
now they're mating with the other dogs that might be in the other areas and passing that down to those dogs.
Yeah, and there's
Crazy.
two different types that really seem to have spread out. The
Right.
ones living right near there are boxers and Rottweilers. They seem
Mm-hmm.
to have survived the best, and they were able to breed successfully afterwards. And then in another small town right nearby were Labrador Retrievers.
Right.
So that's one of those things where you wouldn't never be able to know how these things even existed. One,
Mm-hmm.
we don't ever want to try and find out again.
Nope. And I was surprised that those scientists were actually excited to go and do this. And I get it, it's like an opportunity of a lifetime. So they're very excited. But it's like, man, you guys weren't scared to be exposed to that type of
Yeah.
stuff after the fact. But
Not
I guess,
exposed to the radiation and everything. And oh, by the way, there's a war going on.
right. It's like, oh, yeah, that's not nothing too scary. Nothing too
Yeah,
scary.
I'm just like, this is what scientists do, people. They
Right,
they look at
right.
things and go like, oh, that's interesting, and that's when you get scared.
I guess we would, but the
Yeah.
science is this is let's go explore.
Yeah.
This is good
Oh wait,
stuff.
what's that dangerous snake over there? Let me go.
What?
Yeah.
Let me go closer.
Yeah, no,
I
that's
think we
not
can
my
capture
thing.
it.
Yeah,
Not
I'm
mine's
I'm
either.
much more the let's come and read and do this and figure out all these things. But they're going to actually be able to take this and really do some good research now that they've got
Right.
all these genetic samples. So probably in the next year or two, we are going to get a report or two on this more on when they start really digging into doing some of the DNA testing and things.
Right.
So
To see how like what is it about the rollers and the box shape
yeah,
that allow them to I guess not be too affected by it.
yep. And then here's it's an AI story only in that they're using the modeling, the image modeling software. This is nothing about ChatGPT, folks. Don't worry, we're staying away from there.
For now.
Yeah, but so you can see at the top of these images here, that top row is the picture that someone looked at, and the bottom row is what the fMRI, functional. Holy cow! I just lost the whole thing. M-
Functional.
magnetic resonating imagery. Um, and so fMRI machine watching your brain scans as you look at an image, and then it takes the stuff out of that image, out of the fMRI gobbledygook that comes out, and the AI was able to take and reconstruct the picture that the person was looking at.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things, and here's the actual flow chart of how this all works out. But look at some of these examples. I mean, this airplane right here. This is the one that everybody looked at, and 4 different versions that came out
Pretty close.
so close. I mean, you know
Pretty
that that's an
close.
airplane, and
Right.
in fact, you can kind of tell, like this one over here, this subject number 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm betting he was an older person. I'm I'm applying gender to it as a he. I know I apologize. They were an older person
Right.
because that's a airplane from the 50s. That's the
Gotcha.
50s and
Yeah,
60s
yeah,
airplane
yeah.
style. So that person, sorry, just immediately
Thought
latched
of
onto,
that.
wait, airplane, this is what an airplane means to me. And
Right.
they were able to pull it out that clear from his memories of an airplane versus
What he
what the
actually
actual
saw.
airplane that he saw looked
Right.
like.
That's crazy.
Ready for your
But it's
tinfoil hat?
but it's cool. Right. You can't read my mind.
I mean, it's just, yeah,
Yeah, man.
they are
And I
just
mean, and all they're gonna be doing is advancing this stuff
yeah,
even more. Um, One thing I don't know why this came to mind when I was looking at this, but I guess because I see a lot of like these murder mysteries and stuff like that. It's like imagine if they can do something like this after the person is maybe dead, and if they maybe even saw the person that
yeah.
killed them.
Oh, I wonder how long that lasts because it would only be at this point in our experimentation, it
Mm-hmm.
would only be as long as their memory, their brain waves
It
were
was what
functioning.
functional. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, and see, my mind went to
I guess.
autistic or people
Mm,
who are nonverbal.
I
And
see.
here you can see something, and now here we can get a picture back. Here's a way of getting that back out of your information
Right,
of,
right.
look, you saw this, let's get that information back out of you,
Okay,
or
right.
things like that. So yeah, no, see,
That's point. That brings a good point too. Yeah, I'm looking at.
2 parallel kinds of thoughts on it just for why
Right.
we're going to be using it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It also made me think about like Avatar. Like, I mean, granted, the guy that died in the second
Yeah.
one, he come back to life, and he's kind of bringing back a lot of those memories that he had. It's just that's what just makes me think. It's like, huh, how is he able to go through and like kind of recreate those? And it's just kind of crazy when you see these type of things in movies. But it's like, hey, somebody's actually producing
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
similar.
Science fiction is not predicting. Science fiction is just giving inspiration
Asian,
to
yeah,
people
you're
for
right.
how to pull this off. Um,
They pulling it off.
and pulling off the crazy stuff. I
Oh,
don't
this
want
is
to get it.
crazy.
This is in the links for everybody. You can go read this. I want you to go take a look at this. Um, there's it's a short article, but it's going to make you think because
Mhm.
we all know already how easy it is to do a deep fake with the pictures
Fake
and
news.
doing the Photoshop stuff and things like that. And
Right.
now that they've got it really well tuned, and we've shown this about 2 months ago on the show, we did a article where they were doing able to do translations with somebody's face.
Oh,
So you
really?
could
Wow.
translate what language they were speaking, and their mouth would look like they were speaking that correct language.
That's crazy.
And being able to generate text and being able to do the AI voice that we talked about 3 weeks ago, bringing that all together. So one article basically took all those different pieces and brings it all together and says, what's going to happen when they start running ads with this? And if a Republican runs an ad with this Democrat saying something, or a Democrat runs an ad with somebody with a Republican saying something, are you going to be able to believe it? Are you going to be able to understand it?
And how are you going to be able to go and decipher if this is fake news or
Right.
not?
Yeah. And it's not even fake news. Is it real? I mean, just
Right.
is this part of the real world, or is this something that we've created?
Well, a lot of it would be
And
creative because it seems like they'd be compiling different pieces together and
yeah,
just making one big
and
thing
bringing it all
from
together into
right
one.
from real
Yeah.
events and things like that.
And one of the things we talk about all the time when we do these stories, we talk about the idea that it's expensive. So it's one of these things, you need a lot of computer power. That's why ChatGPT became so hyped up over the last 2 months, because all of a sudden the price point came down to free for the everyday person to use. And so everybody started using it. And now that the price point of this has come down, and the only thing more expensive than education in this country is an election. So more people spend money on elections.
They sure do. Millions.
Yeah. Can you imagine when you've got this technology now at your fingertips and you're going to start doing it? So it's a nice little thing. They have some good contacts here, and walking through some things that have already been done, taking famous actress or actresses and having them reading passages out of books that they never read or would never do, and stuff like that. It's really interesting that how are we going to tell? Because you're going to have to trust expert forensic people that this is or this isn't,
Right.
because, when it glitches, you're watching a video and it glitches. Do we think that
You
just
can see
means
it,
that
right.
what? Yeah. What are you going to trust,
Then
Patrick?
you gotta have a keen eye for that type of stuff. I mean, I guess I'm gonna trust my gut. I'm a curious type of person, so I'll go around if I'm seeing them, see if I would find other things like that would pretty much mimic or look exactly the same, and from different credible sources. But it makes it kind of hard,
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm going to then talk to that actual person to interview them and say, hey, is this really you? Did you produce this? Or is this a mashup of different things that you might have did in the future or in the past, and somebody just collaborated and put it together as one
and
piece?
chop these words out and added these words or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool. But yeah, I see what you're saying for like the elections. Oh, it can be a big thing.
Yeah.
Fake news.
It's going to be. Yeah.
Right.
And ironically, out of all of this, it may come back to down to earth retail politics of, like you said, you need to go talk to the person. You need to see the person you have to sit in that small town auditorium and listen to that person talk to you to know exactly what they're saying and doing, because you can see it right in front of you.
Right.
Yeah. The wheel turns. It's a crazy thing. And that leads us to our final topic of the day of, can you tell when someone's lying?
Via text messages or face to face?
Yeah, I know.
Face to face, kind of. Via written words, yeah, it's kind of hard.
So the point of the article here is all about fake reviews, and everybody has seen, new, again, AI text stuff coming out, and so you can create anything you want and put it out. And that those sorts of things have been around for a long time. Plus, just generic copy and paste and really bad translations that you get in your spam email folder for all those things. But now, who do you trust for a review? I mean, we talked about this 2 years ago on the show about, fake Amazon reviews boosting things up to, 5-star reviews without any product. Or a really good example of one that I saw the other day was a 1-star review on a book that hasn't even been released yet.
What?
And you could tell it was a fake one because the book hasn't come out. It's got a 1-star review, so they're just putting that on there because they don't like the author, or or just,
Possibly.
casual drive through, doing that thing. But there are reasons why, maybe like as a librarian or as a bookseller, you could get a book early, read it, review it, and post a legitimate
Review
review
about
before
it.
it comes out.
Right.
So, and that's where I was just thinking about, well, wait a minute now. Okay, how's this going to look if we're dealing with this text and you're testing these things out? And one of the points of this article from these two professors is that um, there's a lot of knowledge out there in theory that you can detect who's actually lying to you face to face, because you
Right.
can see their facial expressions. You can do the little micro
Right. Or if they have
stuff
hand gestures.
they talk about on TV. Oh no, here's the expert, facial recognition expert type of thing. They say, and they put a link to the study here where basically nobody can do it. It's
It's
not
hard.
true. Yeah, yeah, it's super hard. And so finding out those fake reviews, and now how are we going to be able to do that? I mean, even OpenAI, who's the people behind ChatGPT, can only detect AI writing at about a 20 to 25% rate.
It's low. It's low.
What do you think, Patrick? When you're looking at reviews, how do you tell your reviews whether they're fake or not?
I generally don't look at a lot of reviews. I know a lot of people that do, but when I do, I tend to get a pretty decent sample size. And if I do see like a bad review of something, I may just start to scroll down to another bad review, just to get an idea of like, hey, if this negative thing that this person is commenting about is someone else commenting about the same negative thing, or if they are they expanding on the amount of information that they're giving? Because some people may just be mad about one particular thing that may not necessarily have anything to do with they're writing a review about. Um, I remember seeing a review for a particular product that I wanted to buy through Best Buy, but like they gave it a 1 star for something else that I was seeing. Like I was like, man, that sucks. You rating it low because of something else. It's like an outside factor. Let's just give or take up. The item that they wanted to buy was not available at Best Buy.
Ugh.
So like what? Are you serious? Like how are you giving this a 1 star because it wasn't available when you wanted to, or if it was on sale and then when you went back it wasn't on sale and they didn't give it to you? It's like that's not
That's not
Best
a review.
Buy's
Yeah,
right. That's
those
not a
aren't good
review.
reviews. Yeah,
Right. So
but that's a real review.
true,
It's a stupid one.
it's a
It's a
stupid
stupid
one,
review,
but
but
it
it's a
is
real one.
real. So in that case, I can tell, yeah, it's real. But this is why sometimes I generally don't look at the reviews, and if I do see something that's positive, I look at somebody else that's talking about the positives and why. Like I've noticed with again Best Buy, they may give you something where it says, "Hey, what are the pros when it comes to buying this item?" And what are some of the cons? And then if I look at other reviews and if I see that, it's like, okay. But then I kind of look at, like when I look at the item, first thing I'm doing is not necessarily looking at the reviews, but I'm looking at the specifications of the item. You know what you could potentially use it for, and I may look at maybe commercials or videos that they have for that particular item, and then I kind of get
Yeah.
my idea based on that. It's like, hey, is this going to help me accomplish what I need? Cool. If it does, great. Now, after I get it, if I see maybe in my scenario it doesn't work the best, and I'll be like, oh man, it doesn't work as good as I thought. But based on my scenario, what I
Yep.
was, trying to implement, but doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad item. For what you
Yeah.
might be wanting to do, it's perfectly fine. But for what I was thinking it could do, maybe not there yet.
See, we're gonna have you write all these reviews, Patrick.
Oh man, no, I don't think I
You
get
could
the
get
time
you
to be
see.
do all that.
That's actually kind of the problem. There are people who get paid just to write reviews,
Yeah.
and so they just sit there and they write reviews over items they won't even use.
See, that's the drawback for items that they don't use. It makes it bad. Like I even think about that when it comes to when you look at secret shoppers. I've had secret shoppers in other places that I worked at before, where they would come in and already have a negative like attitude towards shopping at that particular place. So their review is already bad because they just have a negative attitude about coming to this place. There's nothing that you can do right to help this customer, and then they just write a
Well,
bad review.
I can tell you that nobody's writing Patrick a bad review about the
Oh no,
studio.
I'm not talking
Not
about
at all.
specifically
I
here.
know, but this is your chance to brag about what you've
Oh
got
no,
there. Man, because
no,
he's
and
if you have
here,
not been to Main Library to see the studio for the teens here. Now, To be honest review, you have to be 13 to 19 years old. Nobody older, nobody younger, no parents, no teachers.
And that's
Patrick's there to make sure the
8.84.
place doesn't burn down. But beyond that, tell them all the stuff that the teens can be doing there, Patrick.
So a lot of things that the teens could do in here. We have a low arts and crafts area, but I'm trying to get more ideas to make it a little bit better. We have video games. Unfortunately, some of the video games have been taken away, but I'm trying to find other things that kids can do that allows them to be creative. So I notice they do like video games, but we try to incorporate like coding. So we have computers and they can do coding. But I see a lot of drive is not towards that. But I kind of want to get back into like arts and crafts type of stuff. So actually having like painting class, I had got some paint easels so the kids can do some painting. Um, I wanted to. Well, I got the spare Cricut that the creation station had. So when I do have the teens do creative things like maybe designing a hat or a T-shirt or a tote bag, I can actually have them work solely inside the teen studio instead of having to transition to the
Yeah.
creation station side and then finishing up their product in here. The other thing that I had mentioned to you, Bob, and I'm going to Houston next week, and I noticed that they have maker spaces like ours,
Uh-huh.
but they had something that I wanted. I want to use it. It's a broderie and machine, like it's a brother broderie machine. So it's like
Oh,
okay, so it's not like the typical sewing machine that we have where you would have to know how to sew and do all that stuff. I don't. But I noticed that one is kind of similar to the ones that you might find at like hat shops, like lids, where if you kind of design it, no different from what we do with
yeah.
our Cricut machine, and it goes through and so
Nice.
so
Go
so I
check
would.
that out for us. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the drawbacks I've noticed is I talked to them and I seen it says, hey, in order for you to use that equipment, you have to be a member, and it's like okay, you just have
Yeah.
to sign up, whatever, right? Which I did, but when I emailed the person, they also mentioned that I had to have a library card for that area. I'm like, that's not cool. Like, I mean,
No,
I know we have something similar and we don't require
we
guests
don't
of
do any of that.
outside,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Come to Florida, people.
they
Come down
need
here and see
to.
Patrick. Yeah.
So I was gonna try to talk to them. Oh, at least when I get
Yeah.
up there, I'm gonna try to talk to them, but so that we can potentially get that embroidery machine here. Yeah,
And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be an awesome thing.
yeah,
Well,
I think
thank
so.
you very much for being on today, Sir Patrick.
You're
Let
welcome.
me throw up our final slide of the day. If there is a favorite librarian or library you'd like to see featured on the podcast, reach out, creationstation at broward.org. And we'll see you all next week.
Have a
Have a
good one,
great day,
guys.
everybody.